Welcome to this place called Earth and the project Somatic Inversions, Behavioral Manipulation and Linguistics. In this short, the weaponization of human nature, how ideology turns nervous systems against each other. In this short, we examine and explore how we as human beings are turned against one another, not through hatred alone, but through the collapse of nervous system regulation. We as humans are not violent by nature, we are defensive by nature. At the most basic biological level, every human nervous system is asking only two questions. Am I safe? Or am I under threat? This binary does not come from belief, ideology, or morality. It comes from survival biology. When the nervous system perceives safety, humans tend toward cooperation, empathy, curiosity, patience, and nuance. When it perceives a threat, the system shifts into defense, rigidity, certainty, aggression, and attack. Violence is not the starting point. Dysregulation is. Ideology is not just an idea, it is an identity anchor, and ideology is rarely held lightly. Neuroscience and social psychology show that once beliefs fuse with identity, the nervous system treats challenges to those beliefs as existential threats. Research on identity fusion, Swan et al., demonstrates that people will sacrifice relationships, well-being, and even life itself when a belief becomes part of who they are. From the perspective of predictive processing, Carl Friston, beliefs function as internal stabilizing models. When those models are challenged, the nervous system reacts defensively, not because the belief is true, but because stability is threatened. This is why disagreement feels personal, the evidence feels hostile, and questioning feels unsafe. The body is no longer discerning truth. It is protecting identity. How care turns into conflict. Most ideological harm begins with a genuine impulse to protect. I don't want people to be harmed. I don't want others to suffer, and I'm trying to warn you. These impulses are rooted in empathy. But when warnings are ignored or dismissed, something shifts in the body. Concern becomes frustration. Frustration becomes anger. Anger becomes an attack. At that moment, care collapses into defense. Psychologist Linda Skitka found that strong moral conviction predicts increased aggression, reduced empathy, and intolerance of dissent, even when the underlying intention is prosocial. People are not fighting for harm. They are fighting because their nervous system believes harm is imminent. Language, as the delivery system of dysregulation linguistics, is the accelerant. Words like anti, denier, extremist, terrorist, sheep, conspiracy theorist, evil, crazy, dangerous function as nervous system shortcuts. According to George Lakoff's framing theory, once a linguistic frame is activated, the brain filters perception automatically. Counter-information is not evaluated, it is rejected. At that point, listening stops, nuance disappears, empathy collapses, and defense escalates. Language no longer communicates meaning, it activates threat. From disagreement to dehumanization, every major historical atrocity followed the same somatic pattern. Identity is fused to belief, the threat is amplified through language, opponents are dehumanized, regulation collapses, and violence becomes necessary. Studies on radicalization show consistent precursors: chronic stress, identity certainty, social isolation, us versus them narratives, and emotional contagion. This applies not only to extremism, but to online harassment, ideological stalking, rage spirals, and obsession with opponents. Self-harm driven by ideological despair, a single online comment can activate days or months of anger, rumination, or fixation, not because of the comment, but because of what it triggered in the body. When the body attacks itself, when regulation collapses and cannot be discharged outward, it turns inward. This is how ideological dissonance manifests: anxiety, depression, chronic anger, obsession, and burnout. Self-destructive behaviors. The nervous system cannot remain in prolonged threat without consequence. Many people are not mentally ill, they are chronically dysregulated by identity conflict. The spiritual dimension of attachment. Long before neuroscience, spiritual traditions warned about this exact trap. Buddhism identified attachment as the root of suffering. Taoism warned against rigidity. Christian mysticism warned against false idols, including ideological ones. The moment a belief becomes who you are, presence disappears, listening becomes impossible, regulation collapses, and defense replaces awareness. You are no longer relating, you are protecting. The inversion: we are taught that violence comes from bad people, conflict is intellectual, harm is ideological. But the inversion is this: we as humans are weaponized through nervous system dysregulation. Ideology becomes dangerous not because it is false, but because attachment to it collapses regulation and turns defense into attack. Truth does not require rage. Care does not require certainty. Protection does not require domination. A different orientation, a more ethical position may not be ideological alignment, but somatic responsibility. To ask, is my nervous system regulated right now? Am I acting from safety or threat? Am I trying to protect or to win? So, to close this short, you cannot force alignment. You cannot regulate others through argument. You cannot restore safety through domination. But you can refuse to weaponize your own nervous system. Sometimes the most radical act is not to fight, not because you don't care, but because you care enough not to become what harms.